Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dual Screens Gamescast. I am one of your hosts, Stephen Fontana, and with me, as always, he's got that juice. He's got that juice. He's got that swag. He's got that swag. Juice. He's Andy Asimakis. How are you, Andy?
I'm doing well. And I'm very excited, Stephen, because to quote Jim Carrey from The Cable Guy, the future is now.
This is true.
The future is now.
The future is now, or in a few days, anyway.
Yes, the future is in a few days from now.
Joining us this week, quite literally, joining us this week, you may know him as the host of Best Friends Talk Funny and the co-host of the Trophy Room of PlayStation podcast. He is also a regional hugging champion. He is Kyle Stephenson. How are you, Kyle?
I'm doing great, Steve. Thanks so much for having me. Andy, thanks for having me. I'm excited to escape for a little bit, talk games.
Yeah, man. I'm so happy to have you here. We've been talking about it for a few weeks. We just wanted to just get you on, man. Just forget about the world's problems and just talk video games and have fun and be with each other and enjoy each other's company a little bit. What do you say here?
Absolutely.
What do you say? For those of you that are new to the Gamescast, like if there's anybody from Best Friends Talk Funny, one of your listeners for the Trophy Room, this is Dual Screens Gamescast. This is a show where Andy and I, and sometimes a guest, we go over the biggest news for the top three, the big three companies, and then we debate who had the best and worst week, as well as discussing video games past, present, and future. It's kind of a little game we like to play. We like to shit on some things. We love to praise other things. It's just some fun that we have. We're a bunch of dumb idiots that we like to talk about video games. The Dual Screens Gamescast posts each and every Monday for your listening pleasure on your podcast service of choice, including our home, Podbean. The video version of this will go up on YouTube the day after, typically Monday night or into Tuesday morning, because we do this live on twitch.tv/dualscreen streams each and every Sunday night. And you could also listen to us, of course, on iHeartRadio and Spotify. And, of course, everything we do is on dualscreens.com, although Gamescasts are significantly lagging behind. Those posts have not been on the website in about a month. So we do apologize, but we'll get them up there. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, we would absolutely love it if you can give us a review. It doesn't matter how high, but I mean, you're going to love us. So it's going to be a 5-star, and we know it. So you might as well just do it. It helps the show out tremendously. Ain't that right, Kyle? You know about
Absolutely. I know all about the 5-star reviews. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just got 69 5-star reviews over at Trophy Room.
Baby.
Huge milestone. So it means a lot. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's all those hugs you're giving out.
Listen, there's a reason why I'm the hugging champion.
There is. And I know Kyle's got some clever ways of hugging in a COVID-19 friendly environment. I know it's coming. Disposable hugging bibs. He's just going to rip them off one by one. Just fling them up to the side. On this week's show, does Nintendo have something up their sleeves? Sony has a big PS5 event coming very soon. Are current gen titles holding the Series X back? And Konami is making a killing. But first, before we get into the show, let's tell you about our 2 other shows. That's right, on this very same channel, you can listen to 2 other shows each and every week. Well, one of them every other week, but whatever, we'll get to that. We have the Dual Screens Podcast. That's our flagship show. That's where we interview indie devs, voice actors, other creators in the video game sphere, and we get them to tell us their story. You can catch that each and every Thursday on this very same channel. So you don't have to subscribe anywhere else, including our YouTube channel. Everything is there. It's got its own little playlist. You can do all that fun stuff. And this past episode, Andy, was a huge episode because as part of our main doc for this show, we had the creative director of Dead by Daylight on the show to talk about the inclusion of Pyramid Head in Dead by Daylight, and we asked a bunch of community questions, Dead by Daylight community questions, Andy. That was a great show.
I had like 5 questions left that I wanted to ask, but maybe we'll get to that at some point. On the next visit on the show,
we might have to do a follow-up.
Hopefully October Halloween special. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Hint, hint, wink, wink. And we also have one of our seasonal shows. We're doing 4 seasonal shows this year. We're up to our second show, which is Dual Screens Versus, which is a show where Andy and I debate various topics from a guest moderator. A guest moderator just comes in, wants to talk about certain things. It's video games, it's movies, it's TV. And we just have a really fun time with it. And that posts every other Friday. So there's no episode this week, but there will be. There is one coming up this coming up Friday. Which reminds me, I have to reach out to some more of our potential guests. And if you want to support us on Patreon, you can do so by going to patreon.com/NDS podcast, just like our Patreon producer, Colton, the Apprentice Nestler, who is probably a father right now, I would assume. because
Congrats, buddy.
that was happening very quickly, or very soon rather. And I would be shocked if he isn't by now. All right, so now let's get into the show. It is time for everybody's favorite future T-shirt: Adventures in Gaming, 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 Gaming. Kyle, let's start with you. What have you been playing?
Real quick, I love seeing the alternate shot of that segment right there.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I like the side view of you doing that. It looks great. I appreciate that.
Little inside baseball. I have another camera for them. For the chat, it's this way.
So yeah, what I've been playing, I just rolled credits on my grounded playthrough of The Last of Us Remastered. What an experience. It is tore out a couple hairs on top of my head, hence the hat. It was as hellish and difficult as I was expecting it to be. The fact that you can't use listen mode at all. You have no HUD whatsoever, so you can't even see what your health is at and how many bullets you have unless you just try to select to a new weapon. But in a weird way, that's kind of made the game work even better to me. Like it felt like I was Joel and in dire situations, and I didn't have a superhuman ability to know where everyone is. I just kind of had to use my own eyeballs and figure it out for myself. So that was it was pretty great. And I'm now on my road to the platinum. I'm going to start Grounded Plus immediately, even though I know it's not needed for the platinum, but I want 100% it before part 2. So
was doing that like just, I mean, was it fun to play that way? Like, I feel like the game is a depressing video game as it is. So like, was that fun? Or was it just, was the finish, just finishing the challenge, was that the fun? Because I can't imagine the depression plus the difficulty would be fun.
I think moments of that game is fun when it's like you're not overwhelmed by enemies. But I had the most fun when I did complete the challenge. Yeah, it's definitely, the story still hit me in the same ways. I cried at the same moments. It was still the beautiful story that is The Last of Us that I think everyone should experience, because it is like perfection as far as I'm concerned. Gotcha. But yeah, fun is a weird term to throw around when you're playing The Last of Us. Like, it's very weird, but yeah, completing the challenge was a nice moment.
And Andy, what about you, bud?
So all this Silent Hill talk lately, I've been went back to retro games again because I can't help myself, apparently. I'm playing Silent Hill 3 and 4 simultaneously.
Okay.
Wow.
In glorious 4K and 60 frames per second on the PC. And Silent Hill 3, I think it is a benchmark of what the PS2 could do graphics-wise. That game is insanely detailed. When you break it down, holy shit, there's a lot going on in that game. But yeah, holds up really well, and still scares me till this day. And yeah, looking forward to some more new games in the franchise. Hopefully that's coming soon on the pipeline.
How do you balance 2 horror games at the same time?
Oh, it's easy. Well, they're both different types of horror games. One is Silent 3 is very aggressive and violent and in your face gore, and part 4 is it's pulled back. It's more Japanese style kind of horror, and has like a peeping Tom kind of quality to it, and paranoia. So 2 different kind of games, but yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. I have been playing, of course, I've been playing Animal Crossing. I just built my backyard wrestling ring. I got my blue mats around. I'm starting to build all of my blue chairs on the outside, but I can only buy 5 a day. So I'm just kind of slowly doing that. I got my banners in the back. I built a wall up, so I'm going to make my little entrance ramp and some guardrails and all that fun stuff. So I got that set up. So that's good. I am working on my flower breeding, which is just coming out beautifully. One thing that's very upsetting is I got a cool villager in my tent that I was like, oh, I kind of like this guy. I want him to stick around. And he's like, oh, sorry, you're full. Do you want me to talk to guest services. I'm like, yeah, talk to, Island Services. They're like, okay, they said I can move in, but I got to get rid of this guy. And I'm like, that's the only guy I don't want to get rid of. He's like the only one I like. I mean, I like the other ones, but he's like so cool. He's just this panda dude. He's a pink panda, and his name is Chow, and he's really cool. And I don't want to get rid of him. So it's very upsetting to me. But yeah, what else? I played a little bit more of Predator for a little bit. That game is starting to lose its way, gentlemen. I'm not gonna.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is it?
It's starting to lose its way
Man.
as far as like
That happened fast.
they're not balancing it quick enough where the players are taking advantage, and like there's a very specific Predator build at this point, and there's a very specific community of fire team players that like the fire team are starting to become the hunters, and they don't do objectives. They just try and kill Predator. They try
that
and
sounds like
take
a
him
lot of
out.
fun.
They try and trap him. They try.
I'm into this.
Yeah, so it's like it's really just becoming ignore the core mechanics of the game and just try and kill Predator, and Predator just try and kill you, as opposed to 3 weeks ago where I actually had a Predator that wasn't using like the main stuff that every Predator seems to be using, which is the big combi stick, which is like can insta kill you basically. He was actually laying traps around, and like we're running around. We can't find him because he's just making distractions everywhere. But he wasn't really like doing anything, in our face. It was all from a distance, all from the trees. He wasn't just using stealth, so because when you use stealth, you could hear him. But if he's just kind of crawling and sneaking around, you don't know where he is unless you actually physically see him. So this guy was like just being a really great Predator. Now it's really just the Berserker, Giant Predator, Combi Stick, Laser Cannon, or Bow and Arrow. And it's just, oh, he's in the tree. Now he's not. Oh, shit. Here he is. He's in our face. Just slicing. And unless you can get enough shots in him, there's really no point in doing it. So it's becoming a very unbalanced game very quickly. They can't get these updates out soon enough. But, I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll check back.
Unfortunate. A lot of promise that game. A lot of promise.
Mm-hmm. You know what else I got back into, Andy and Kyle? Civilization 6.
Oh,
Because it was free? So you're like, I'll jump on this.
I've owned it. I've owned it since 2016.
Oh.
But I just
Didn't
haven't
play
played
it
it
since
since 2016. So yeah, I just decided I wanted a chill game to just kind of pass some time, and I said, you know what, I'll stream it. If people come in, whatever they come in, but it was 4.5 hours later, 251 moves later. I really, really don't think I made any progress whatsoever. I don't know what I'm doing. But the next day, Andy.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what happened the next day, Andy and Kyle. Because it's time for a minute of Apex.
No.
Steve.
I'm vetoing it.
Here it is,
You did 2 minutes last week. You did 2 minutes last week.
I decided that I was going to do a special stream. If I get dubs, I give away a free game. Okay? And what happens? Second game of the night, W. We didn't get one W, Andy. Kyle, how many W's do you think we got? Because it wasn't 2. It wasn't 3. It was 4. We got 4 W's that night, and including back-to-back W's. We gave away games. It was a blast. Everybody's having fun. This season has been fantastic, and it was great. And we had a blast. And
that's awesome.
And Apex is still Apex, and it's great, and I love it very much. And that's all I have to say about that.
The only time I've played Apex is with you, Steven, back when it first came out. And that was when, for my version of the game, everything was psychedelic and everything was like warping.
I remember that. Yeah,
and after that, I'm like, I'm done. I'll never play it again. That was my experience. It's over with.
That's fantastic. So during this whole thing, Mikey Kirsch, who I played with and got the W's with, was very excited, and Buzz Killington tried to redeem his points in the chat, which I revitalized and silence and time out Mikey Kirsch. But it turns out both of them are trying to silence each other and time each other out, but they're both mods, so they can't. So this is our lives now. This is our lives. All right. So that's what we've been playing. I've been playing some other smaller stuff too, but like nothing really that stands out. I'm just kind of going back and playing some older stuff and whatnot. Stuff that was in my Switch, stuff that's lying around. All right. So it is time for our indie news update. Andy, why don't you take this away? What's happening here? What is this game?
One of my favorite games is coming to the Switch. You know this game, Steven. You know this game.
Oh, do I?
It's by our good friends at Chainsaw Awesome Games.
Chainsaw Awesome. I love Chainsaw Awesome.
Yes. You do love that Chainsaw Awesome, don't you?
I do.
Night Squad is coming to Switch.
Hell yeah.
This game, now this should be one of our Monday night games with our listeners and our audience. It's an 8-player fucking friendship ruiner of a game.
Do tell. Give us details, friend.
I'm in.
It's 8 people, deathmatch, there's power-ups, and you just have to straight up murder each other. That's the goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
got swords, you got laser guns, you got miniguns, all that shit.
Sounds like Duck Game a little bit.
Well, it's got a top-down view. It's kind of cool. But yeah, it's a little bit more frantic than the Duck Game.
I like
But
it.
more bloodier as well. But yeah.
That's
Coming to
sexy.
Switch sometime next week.
All right, next week. Okay, all right, it's coming.
Yeah.
It is imminent. It is upon us. All right, so before we get into the official 4 news pieces, the big 4 headlines. Bah, 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 that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a graphic soon, and it's going to play. It's like the big 4 headline. I don't know what it's going to say. Let's get into what didn't make the cut. And Andy, I guess you'll start us off here. Sony has done something very, very sneaky, sir.
Yes. They have quietly, I love the phrasing here, quietly, which is code for didn't tell anybody.
Yeah, they told nobody.
They've shut down the game servers for the amazing PS Vita game Killzone Mercenary. Now, I get it. If you're part of this community and you're still playing this Vita game, a heads up would be nice.
Yes.
Like, hey guys, we're kind of gonna. This is done now, so get your kicks where you can, and we're gonna didn't go away. But I don't think it's a big deal. It's a Vita game. Does anyone really care about this?
Whoa.
Oh,
Whoa.
And also wait. Let me
My
set the
Vita
stage
heart.
here. Let me set the stage here. We saw the very last Vita owner killed in that Last of Us live stream last week. So you were told in a way, weren't you?
In a very roundabout way, I guess.
You were told.
We were.
You saw this coming. The writing was on the wall.
For me, like, yeah, I mean, who's playing this? I guess somebody is. I mean, somebody had to figure it. Somebody
Right, to know that it was
played this game and was very disappointed to see that their online community is gone.
And then it was Kyle.
But like, yeah, I think it's really just a PR thing. Just like give a heads up. 20 minutes,
Right.
20-minute heads up would have been nice.
Send out a tweet. That's all you could have done.
it also makes me sad for like just the thought and hope for Vita games to be on PS Now. If they're just shutting down these servers, like that's never going to be a thing.
Did they ever come out with any sort of statement about why they did it, or like?
No.
Because maybe they shut them down because they're moving them somewhere. Maybe
Possibly.
I don't know. I feel like it's a weird thing because they announced other server shutdowns like a year in advance. So this just seems like a weird thing, especially because it's probably one of their most played online Vita games. Like it's a pretty. It's a really nice on the go first person shooter with a pretty cool, robust online.
And like it says here, it's still in the store for $20.
There you go.
It's still there.
It's still there for $20, and it still advertises online play as one of its key features. So that's a problem.
That's a big problem. Yeah.
But I digress. All right, here's another big problem, and the reason why it's a big problem is because anybody is talking about it in any way, shape, or form. Apparently, somebody named Larry Bundy Jr., don't know who that is, says the latest Sega rumor, Twitter, the latest Sega rumor that's going to rile up the gaming industry is, yes, Sega are releasing a console, but it's the Xbox Series X in Japan. Microsoft are rebranding it under Sega's name to gain a better foothold there. So, it'll be the Sega Series X.
That can't be real.
So do we think we're living in isolation times for Japan? How they don't know it's still on Xbox, no matter what you call it.
I think.
What's the play here? This is true. So
first of all, Sega doesn't have a foothold in Japan.
No. We have to trick the Japanese now. We have to trick them to buying an Xbox system.
The Dreamcast did poorly everywhere, including Japan. So did the Saturn and the Jaguar. Wait, the Jaguar was Atari. You know what I mean.
Right.
They all did shitty. There was only 2 that did well, and they're still here.
God, it's so confusing.
Well, the Dreamcast, to be fair, it was the constant price cutting because they lost so much money on the Saturn, the 32XX. They had to keep cutting that price down until, it went to shit.
Well, it went tits up because you could easily burn their games.
Well, there's that aspect too, yeah. But it's got 128 bits. 128 bits, Steven.
The only thing I like about this is that the initials of Sega Series X is SSX, and I just want that back. That's all that I care about right now.
Very important. I'm inclined to agree. Andy, this is interesting little Nintendo news, Andy.
Yeah, we touched on this last week about a inevitable, it seems, Metroid Prime trilogy release on the Switch. And according to a Swedish retailer, goddamn those Swedes, they're good at release dates and, again, fucking snow. That's what they're good at.
They're good at it. They're very good at this.
That we're getting this trilogy on June 19th.
It's a big day.
So much, yes, this is true. I want this.
Now, you know how those other places around the world do their dates. Are you sure this isn't the 6th of the 19th? Are we sure? There's a lot of weird.
Right. You make a good argument.
It could be the 20th of the... No, I don't know.
This screenshot's also very weird. Why is the Nintendo logo not in the corner of the box? It's just a red square.
Of all things, that should be there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they're afraid Nintendo's going to take them down.
But the logo in the bottom corner is just fine.
I mean, they got Nintendo in their website name. I'm surprised they got that. I'm surprised Nintendo hasn't gone there and just started slapping people with lawsuits everywhere. The Outer Worlds publisher reveals performance and resolution of the Switch version, which is nice. And it's really good. Really good. They're targeting 30 frames per second, 1080 docked, and 720p in handheld mode, which is very, very good because there are games coming out now that are below that, they're 480p in handheld mode, etc., etc., etc. So, just a quick little quote here: porting a game with thousands of assets designed to be loaded and displayed on current gen PCs and consoles with power to display 4K made streaming and visual fidelity a challenge on a handheld. Also, water is wet. Thoughts on this, gentlemen?
Well, this goes back to what the Witcher dev said about that port to Switch, how there's still so much left to squeeze out of the Switch console. And I think we're seeing it now with the Outer Worlds.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's cool when any game can kind of stretch the power of the system and showcase what it can do. I mean, just look at how Last of Us Part 2 looks on a PlayStation 4 compared to what PlayStation 4 games looked at the beginning of the PlayStation 4. It's nuts. Yeah. So if they could do that for the Switch,
to The Last of Us 2,
or just The Last of Us remastered,
yeah,
The Last of Us 2, again, night and day. Going back to a previous story here, the whole Xbox Sega thing. Buzz in the chat also mentions that there have been rumors about Microsoft buying Sega recently.
And is that happening?
Who knows?
Sega's making a good amount with the Yakuza series. I think they're doing all right for themselves.
Yeah, I don't know why they would want to cut off a bunch of their sales for something like that. Unless they just want to get out of it altogether and let somebody else run it, which I guess could be a thing. Take their money and run. But
if you're that profitable, I don't see the reason
Sega's
why
a
you want to do that.
publicly traded company, right?
Yes, they are.
That's if a publicly traded company was going to sell to one of the, if not the most sought after pieces of stock on the planet, I feel like some real people would be shooting fireworks into the sky. It's happening.
Like I see the deals there are more like, can we have Yakuza on the Xbox? And Sega's saying, fine, you can have it, just fucking take it. But not just buy us. That's where I draw the line. That
And
conversation.
I think that's happening too. I think Yakuza is coming to Xbox.
It is. Yeah, in a big way. I think that's the end of that arrangement, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Andy, what do we got next on the news that didn't make the news?
One of my favorite Final Fantasy games, Crystal Chronicles, got a release date, remastered, August 27th, baby. And also, even bigger news, local co-op is a thing now. Oh. It wasn't there originally for some reason.
That's good.
But now it's back.
It's awesome.
All right.
They get your 4 friends over the house and play some co-op. This game is so much fun. Yeah, one day.
One day.
Yeah. In the year 2025.
I think I might pick this up. I feel like this would be a game that Lane and I would really like to maybe get together.
Listen, if you do that, and then Ken and I, 4 of us, a little 4G going on. It's gonna happen.
It's definitely one of those games that you'll want to punch somebody because carrying that crystal is really annoying.
I've never played Crystal Chronicles.
It's a good game.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's a cute game. It's it's got light elements of.
Yeah, this has voiceover in it now. They added to that some new bosses and dungeons. It looks really good.
Here's something relevant to Kyle's interests. WWE 2K22 information.
Yeah.
New details were released for the video game. So the new producer for WWE 2K games, Patrick Gilmore, recently took part in a Q&A session on the WWE Games Reddit page. And here are some of the highlights from that conversation. All new file code for WWE 2K22 will be produced instead of the one that's being used for the past couple of years.
Finally.
God. Players would be given the feel of being the WWE superstar, and the game will be treated more like a sports game. And I don't know how you feel about this, but I much rather it feel like a sports game than a fighting game. And I feel like it was getting towards a fighting game the last 4 or 5 years.
Yep, agreed.
As of now, the tagline for the game is "Step out of the crowd and into the ring. Who cares?" Creation Suite will be streamlined and improved for the next game, and they want to make it cross-platform, meaning every wrestler uploaded to the community creations will be available for every system. I've been asking for this forever. I don't understand why they didn't do this. It doesn't cost money to create characters. I don't understand it, but I guess that's good. They want to create a story, quote, at some point. Who knows what that means? They are looking to import custom music. How are you looking to do something that was there 10 years ago? I don't know.
Yeah.
The gameplay itself is getting a huge investment into improving, hopefully, and they will make it more like Here Comes the Pain, mixed with the best stuff from the most recent games. Unfortunately, the best stuff from most recent games is probably stuff that was carried over from Here Comes the Pain anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Adding GM mode is high up on their priority list. My Career mode will have more choices for the player. Online match quality will be a lot better, so you hope. A closed beta test might be introduced, should be. Updates to the physics engine. I feel like that goes hand in hand with the new file code issue, but whatever. And new match types. I feel like there's plenty. And a bunch of spaces later, modding could return for PC users in some way. What are your thoughts,
This is great.
Kyle?
I like it a lot. I think it's about time they fix it because I recently just played through the career mode on 2K20 like last week just to see how it was, and it went places. It like Samoa Joe came back with a full metal bionic arm in the career mode, and The Rock is the president, and he comes out at the end of the Royal Rumble after you eliminate everybody, and then you have to eliminate the president of the United States, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. So it is insane. And like I think it was a fun, dumb story, which I kind of wanted and needed at that point, but like everything else was bad. Their eyes were like so wide and never blinking. The hair was all over the place. They're stuck in the ring ropes. Like playing the game felt bad. So if they fix that, it's going to be
like an Adult Swim series plot line right there.
Yeah, it was very Rick and Morty. Like, I don't understand how WWE 2K20 happened. I don't understand how you can take something that is clearly building off of the thing before it, and it looks and runs worse than the thing before it. Like, I feel like sabotage happened. And for those of you who don't know that story, look it up. The developers in the middle wound up leaving. I think it was it not AKI? Was it Ukes? Wound up leaving in the middle of it, basically dumping an unfinished game on top of 2K's shoulders, and then they had to kind of just throw something together. They should have just canceled that game and instead did 2021.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Interesting that this is 2K22. So another 2 years we'll get this new game.
Well, aren't they a year ahead?
Well, last year's was 2K20. Oh, wait. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So like in 2021, 2022 would come out.
I had that backwards.
Kind of makes sense. But they usually come out in October, too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if maybe it'll come out a little before that. But also, wrestling is in a flux right now. So
yeah,
who knows what Vince McMahon and WWE are going to want for their financials. Like, maybe they want this coming out a little earlier so that they can kind of stem the bleeding a little bit. Who knows if they're going to have paid attendance until, by the time this game even comes out next year? Because we really don't know. We don't know what this is going to look like next year.
Part of that is, I think that's why they're pushing for that other wrestling game that's coming out this fall.
Yeah.
Where the models look awful. They look like just
weird.
like thick tree trunks, every single person. Like, it's bad. Yeah.
It's like a mobile game that they said, you know what, put it on console and sell it for $60. Well, we'll see. Andy, what's next on this thing? And then after that, it is the dual screens report.
Well, you know what game doesn't look like shit? Baldur's Gate 3.
That's right.
So our good friends at Larian Studios announced on June 6th they're going to join the Guerrilla Collective Showcase and begin what they're calling the road to Baldur's Gate 3. So that's a jumping off point of updates for this game that I cannot wait to get my hands on. It looks amazing. And seriously, like, do I have to get Stadia for this? Is my thought right now. The fact that I have to even consider it breaks my heart to play this game.
Mm-hmm. I feel you on that one. I don't want another service. I just want to. I want to be able to play it on something I already have, and I hope they realize. Well, there's some sort of deal probably in place that is going to make them just be on Stadia only for a little bit. But God, I wish that wasn't true.
Yeah, that is apropos, my friend. Hang on one second. I just want to switch this. Somebody told me a sidebar that some of our audio is a little weird. Andy and I are low, and Kyle is loud, and I don't know why that would be, because my audio looks fine on my end. So who the hell knows? So I just checked one of my connections. Maybe something was awry. But all right, so let's move on. It's time for the dual screens report. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a thick one. This is a thick report. A thick, juicy report. Now, Andy, do you want to start with the top? Or do you want that to be the swan song of the report?
That is a great question. I think we should maybe go from the bottom up.
I agree.
Like I do in real life.
That's good, because this week we had the creative director of Dead by Daylight on the Dual Screens podcast. It was a fantastic, fantastic show. I don't think anybody would ever argue that it wasn't. But the big news here, Andy, is that Dead by Daylight is getting a little quiet, a little quiet little town, Silent Hill, represented. Tell us all about it.
So yeah, we're getting at last something to do with this franchise after God knows how many years of. Oh, we had the Pachinko game, so there's that. So we're finally getting something involving Silent Hill in the proper way in a video game. In Dead by Daylight, we're getting the Midwich Elementary School map. We're getting Cheryl Mason as a character, and also, of course, Pyramid Head. But this has happening, headed up by Japan Studios as a PS5 exclusive title, or is this was the smoke to the fire?
I'm sorry, Andy. I was checking a connection on a cable, and it fell out of my computer. Can we go back? I was looking at the top. So here's the thing: I have a new PC, and for whatever reason, it does not recognize when I use a USB microphone. I have to put it into the microphone jack on the computer. So I think what's happening is it's getting like a weird feedback between my microphone and the headphone because I have it coming out to two different things. So I'm just going to rewind a little bit. It's okay.
Totally
it doesn't
fine.
matter. We're an unedited, uncut show.
Yeah.
So let's just go back. Now tell us about Dead by Daylight and Silent Hill crossing it.
All right. So to recap, for those who got it the first time.
I didn't even hear you. The listener didn't hear you. Kyle is the only
Oh,
one
so
that
no one heard me.
No, I told you that. No one heard you because
But it was just dead air.
It was nothing but me, my stomach in the camera, Kyle nodding.
I got a nice view of your armpit, though.
Exactly. We got armpit view, nodding from Kyle, and your mouth moving. That's what we got.
All right. So let's take a step back here. Okay. So there was the 4-year anniversary stream for Dead by Daylight, and they announced their latest chapter, Chapter 16, was indeed a Silent Hill crossover, netting us Cheryl Mason, Pyramid Head, and the school map from the first game. And I had a massive boner during the entire presentation. And it was amazing.
Donger.
And it was amazing. Because after years of silence, no pun intended, and also just getting pachinko games out of Konami, this is actually going in the right direction. We're seeing something done with this IP that's of value to the gaming community at last. But I think the larger question here is, does this signal us getting a proper Silent Hill game in the future? The much rumored soft reboot of the franchise? Or was this announcement the smoke to the fire? And this is it. This is all we're going to get. So is it more likely we're getting a new game, or is it now less likely? What are your boys' thoughts?
Kyle, you could start us off.
I'm not a horror gaming person at all, so I don't know the history of Silent Hill. But I part of me feels like this is all it is. I think Konami is the type of company that will just give people a little taste and then just take it away again and never to be seen again. I would be super cool to have another survival horror centric game out there. Because I honestly feel, despite the smaller ones, like when I think survival horror, I think Resident Evil, and I think Silent Hill is, in the history of video games, is super important in that genre. So I would love to have Silent Hill back just for the well-being of the genre in today's gaming. But I feel like this might just be it.
Well, to that point, we've seen the great success of the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes, and those have been huge money makers for Capcom. So I would think maybe, hey, we should get in on this action a little bit.
I 100% agree with you, but I feel like if Konami's looking at the remakes and seeing how great they're doing, I think the first place it would go is Metal Gear Solid.
True. That's true.
I think that's probably would be with their main focus in the remake department. Probably followed by
Castlevania.
Yeah, I was gonna say followed by Castlevania probably, but yeah.
For me, I think that I feel like it's a very weird niche place for them to take the franchise first. So that makes me feel like it is very possible that it's the only thing, because why would this be the first thing that you allow to happen for Silent Hill? With the Silent Hills thing that happened and then didn't happen, now all the rumors around, the rumors of a remaster, remake, why would that news not be what you lead with, and then you could say here's other places we're putting the franchise. Now, to the flip side of that, this could be them literally teasing the fact that Silent Hill is coming back in a big way. I just don't understand why Dead by Daylight would be the first place they do that. That just seems like, yes, they have 20 million. They had 20 million players, but it's still considered a very niche audience. It's a very, I guess again, you could say maybe Konami's they know what they have here, and they know what they have, and who they want to target are horror game fans. So maybe that's the smart play here, is to double down on that audience so that they can build proper hype for the franchise for past games. I wonder how their downloads have been doing for their previous titles, like anything that they have out digitally somewhere. I wonder, or like just in general, how Silent Hill merchandise has been doing since the announcement. But yeah, I think my gut is telling me that there's nothing else here, just because of how Konami has really been stepping away from that and really just giving out, small little snippets here and there. But
wow, it's only me. It's only me that thinks this is a good thing.
I think
it's optimistic right now.
Well, it's a good thing. Yeah, it's obviously a good thing. But I just think that they can't be trusted for it to be taken to the goal.
Like I understand both of your points entirely, but I think what was happening was there was rumblings of the IP being used in some way, and behavior, knowing this, approached them. Said, hey, Konami, there's these rumors. We want to use your license. What do you think? You're good cross promotion. And this is also a week prior to Sony's event. So I think the timing, because the rumor said that this was going to be an announcement at Sony's PS5 event next week for the Silent Hill reboot.
Mm-hmm.
So the timing seems to be all aligning in a sense. I think this is just such a persistent rumor at this point. It can't just be this Dead by Daylight thing for Silent Hill. It can't be, and it won't be.
But how?
I'm hoping for your benefit, Andy. It is real.
I don't understand how a company like Sony, like if Sony had something going with Konami, how can Sony not have enough pull to say, "Hey, we're doing our thing in a week. Let's do that. Don't talk about it there yet, because you're gonna have updated graphics for Dead by Daylight, because that's another thing they announced. It's going to look better. It's going to come to next-gen consoles. Why don't we just make it part of the next-gen console thing? You can announce it at the end, and then we can, segue into the Silent Hill announcement or whatever. I just feel like there's a lot of disjoint. I mean, it's Konami. Everything's going to be all over the fucking place. They haven't been able to do anything streamlined in years. So I guess it's just par for the course for them to just be very confusing. Right. Speaking of confusing, the next story here is Microsoft's story, and this is going to be an interesting little conversation. I'm excited to see what our chat also thinks about stuff like this. So Xbox has been touting the fact that Xbox Series X is the most powerful console, and its compatible next-gen console is compatible with thousands of games at launch. Obviously, they are going to be making improvements to older generation games, either current gen or previous gen games, so that when you do buy a Series X, there's going to be a litany of titles for you to choose, legacy titles, essentially. Whether that is big budget games or smaller games, there's, there could be well into the 1,000 to 2,000 games by the time this thing launches. So the question we want to ask here is forward compatibility and backward compatibility, but more so forward compatibility, meaning their 18-month plan of having everything that's going to be for Series X must also be on the Xbox One. Is that holding back the Series X at launch? And Andy, I want to start with you because this was a topic you wanted to speak about specifically.
I'm going to say yes to this 100%. I feel, listen, I don't understand Microsoft's marketing or their PR approach to this whole console war, if you want to call it that. It seems that whenever Sony says something, like when they announced their PS5 event talking about games only for the PS5, they had to say, we have thousands of games, we're the most powerful. Again, this whole like desperation, attention grabby approach, I'm not a fan of it. And as far as holding back the new console, yeah, because you're not going to, I understand how the games will play better and look better on the new hardware, but they have to keep the old hardware in mind. That's going to keep it back regardless. That's indisputable. Because if I had a game that I can only play on the Series X to really showcase the hardware, then you don't need the Xbox One. But I think they can't let go of that small core dedicated fan base of theirs. It's a weird dynamic, and I feel like to incentivize sales, you have to show why I'm buying the new system. And I think this decision holds it back in a lot of ways.
But couldn't you argue that the reason to buy the new system is that you are going to get a better gaming experience for anything out there to this day? It's the the cheapest and best place to play anything that's going to be coming out in the next year and a half. That you, for example, if you are, a college student, right, and you want the best games, you're not going out there and buying a $1,200 computer, because that's just ludicrous. But you might spend $400 on a console and Game Pass.
You might.
You might do that. In which case you have this entry-level option, and you could say, yeah, and I'm also making an investment because I can still play everything that I've been playing that I still want to play without having to invest another $60 in that game, or, have to wait for the next one, or whatever. It's another thing, and I can't believe I'm actually arguing for Microsoft on this point, but also, as a PlayStation gamer, I look over and I see all my PS4 games, and I'm like, man, I would love to, while I'm waiting for Spider-Man, to go back into Spider-Man 2. I go back into Spider-Man and see what the PlayStation 5 could do for Spider-Man, and wet my chops again in that universe, or whatever. I look at stuff like that. I look at God of War. I look at Horizon. I look at these games, and I'm like, oh man, I really hope I could just slide this into my PS5.
Do you think you can't play those games on PS5?
We don't know, because nothing has been confirmed.
Do you really think that's the case?
Nothing has been confirmed. That's
right. I'm asking for an honest opinion. Do you think that those games will not be compatible on PS5? They're first party games.
I don't know. I don't know.
I know you don't know, but I'm asking you for an honest opinion. I think they will. Just say it, because you know what you want to say. Just say it's ridiculous that they can't be compatible. That's ridiculous.
Whether or not they're compatible, or whether or not they get a performance boost, are two different things. If I could just slide the disc in and play it just like it's a PS4, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in getting a better gaming experience for my older titles. I'm talking about
the tech and showing off what your new console can do. But you can't squeeze out the most of it.
But we're also going to have that. And
if you're designing games with the old gen in the back of your mind.
Also, I want to ask you a question, and I know there's really one answer for this. Okay. If a game comes out on PS4, Xbox One, and PC, where's the best looking and running place to play that game?
Well, I would say PC, but it's debatable.
It's not. So it's PC. So if PC is the high bar, but it still plays on the lower bars here, what makes it different than a Series X now being that PC and the Xbox One now being below here? You're not getting a worse experience up here just because you had to make it here. You're still getting the best experience up here, right? Right. Just like a PC, just like a $1,200, $1,500 PC.
Sure.
But you just don't have to upgrade it every fucking 6 months. And your goddamn drivers. And, all that fun stuff. So I think that argument, specifically towards third-party stuff, I think is moot. Now, whether or not first-party stuff, like if you're a developer and you're like, oh man, look at this power, this Series X, it's unbelievable, but I have to make it for this thing first and then just scale it up on the Series X, I could see that being a problem. At least, maybe as a developer, it's a little bit of a letdown, but I don't think the gamers are going to suffer for it, because first wave games anyway, like launch window games anyway, typically don't look nearly as good as they're going to look 3, 4, 5 years down the line anyway. So
that's a given. Yeah.
What are they really sacrificing? They're sacrificing having something only on their new thing, but what they're trading that off with is, hey, if you do come to our new thing, you're not going to lose your old thing. So I think that it's going to look and run better, because they've confirmed that, established that, said it's going to, said how it's going to, and they've used the now number thousands. So whereas PlayStation, when they spoke about it, they didn't explain how it would be better. They just said it would load faster, because of the solid state drive, and they said 100 titles.
Mm-hmm.
So like the messaging there
that was clarified. You know this. Now you're just that was clarified after the fact.
What they clarified
Initially,
was
yes,
they started with 100. What they clarified was they started with
100 games. Yeah.
But they still after that have not said thousands or all or most or many. They still haven't used those words. So for as a gamer that doesn't have brand loyalty like you and I do, and Kyle, who does a PlayStation podcast, for gamers that don't have brand loyalty, right now the Series X looks like something that is going to be a better investment because I'm not going to be left in the dust with my older titles. And I know for a fact that almost everything that I purchased, if not everything I purchased prior, if I'm in the Xbox ecosystem, is going to carry over.
Here's a quote. We believe that the overwhelming majority of the 4,000 plus PS4 games we play on PS5. Thousands, 4,000 plus.
Yeah, but again, right, it's like,
but it's right there in black and white.
Right, but that's not their selling point. That's not that's not what they're using to sell PS5. And I feel like if Xbox is going to come out with the argument that we have thousands of games for legacy games that are going to look better, play better, and run better, like PlayStation is, if they also have that, just throw it in their face. Be like, yeah, us too. Like, of course, duh. That's easy. That's the easy part of making a PlayStation 5.
But that's Xbox Series Xbox's marketing gimmick. Us too. Look at us over here. Woohoo! Please like me. Please like me.
Again, what's more attractive to a gamer without brand loyalty? Is it the fact that they don't even know we don't even know what first party games we're gonna get. Exclusive first party games that we're gonna get for PlayStation. We will this week, hopefully, maybe. But yeah, we don't know. So right now, if you're pre-ordering or if you're looking to save money for a pre-order, or you're like making mental checklists right now, if you have no brand loyalty and you're not like, oh God, Uncharted, I have to get a PlayStation because I need the next Uncharted or I need the next God of War or whatever. If you're just like, I just want cool games, right now you don't know what Sony has in the pipeline. You only know that they're focusing on, a great next gen experience. But on a Microsoft side, that your older stuff while you're waiting for the new stuff isn't going to get left in the dust. So you might lean that way. Kyle, what are your thoughts?
Part of me I believes that Microsoft kind of lucked into the situation, but what I mean by this is they didn't plan for this pandemic. So I think this works really well for Xbox fans, knowing if everyone is displaced from work, they're not going to have to worry about spending hundreds of dollars on a new system. They can still play these brand new experiences of games on the Xbox that they already own, which I think is fantastic. And to answer the earlier question, if it's a mistake by them, I can go both ways. I can see where Andy is coming from, where developers are like, yeah, they have to worry about the older one and then use that old model and scale up to make it look all prettier and run better or whatnot. But also, I think it's very user friendly, this model, where they will have a couple years to get to it if they want to get the next step up. So I can see it both ways. I think it's great. I love it's preserving gaming legacy for Xbox. For me as a gamer, when a new console comes out, because I usually don't have the money up front to get a new system, I have to trade in my old system to get the new one.
Right.
That's just how I have to operate. So the fact that,
and I imagine that's common. I imagine that's
sure.
Typically what I do. Also, this PS4 is the first gen I didn't do that, and it's only because PS4 was a gift. Otherwise, I would have had to do that.
So the fact that I can, if I am in this situation as an Xbox gamer and part of their family, if I'm in that situation, I don't have to worry. I can trade in the system and keep all my games that I haven't played yet. Or vice versa. Like you can buy a new system and have games that you can pick up on the shelf for cheap that are pre-owned, because there are no pre-owned brand new games out for a new system if that's the route you go. So it's definitely user friendly, but I can see where developers might have a little bit of a hang up. And also, we're at this point when it comes to games, how much prettier can games look? Right? I don't think it's a huge, to me, Microsoft hasn't done anything to tell me why I need to upgrade to a Series X, just personally.
Right, but that's the whole point. You're disincentivizing sales because if I can buy all the new stuff on the old hardware, why do I want the new hardware?
Yeah, I agree with that point. It's mind-boggling, but I think just the thought of having being able to keep all your games, I think is a strong one for the Xbox gamers out there. So yeah,
I wonder if they, a lot of people or a lot of rumors out there have been saying that Xbox is going to be cheaper than PlayStation. Just based on no evidence, but whatever. I wonder if it's the opposite because maybe they don't want to scare people away from the Xbox One because what if the Series X is $600? Let's just say it's $600, and you go, don't worry, you could still play the same games that are coming out in the next year and a half, so you could save your money, you could do whatever. All these games are going to come out on the system you also already have. That could be kind of an optic they're going for without saying it, maybe?
It could soften the blow.
Yeah.
We're not going to ask you to spend that much because you can play the games on the old hardware. That would make sense.
Mm-hmm. And
it's the more premium option.
Right. And where does that Series S fall then? The rumored low power Series X thing.
What was with the code names? What, Lockhart?
Lockhart,
right?
Yeah.
Lockhart, yeah.
Where does that fall? Is the Xbox One not that console? Is it not that?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know. I feel like the Lockhart's probably going to be the same as the Xbox One. One X rather. It's just rebranded with a new UI and a new OS. I feel like that's really what they're going to end up doing, but who knows? Any other thoughts, gentlemen?
Interesting.
Very interesting.
I'm excited for next gen to be here already.
We actually have a mailbag question about this.
The main thought here is I want my new games and my new systems already.
I want all the information out there, so we don't have to have these kind of conversations.
True.
But that would kill all the podcasts.
Sure.
They'd all just go away.
Mikey Kirsch asks in our Discord, I'd love it if you talked about Microsoft's smart delivery. Sony announced this week that all games submitted for certification for PS4 must also be compatible with PS5, and I believe the cutoff date was July 14th. That's the number that's sticking in my head. Additionally, the games have to be the same, no additional features or changes to gameplay. To me, this sounds more or less like Xbox's smart delivery, just dumbed down to cross-generational. I'd like to know what you think. Do you think this is a good value? Do you anticipate big leaps for games that are smart delivery enabled, or is it overhyped? Love to hear your thoughts. Keep up the good work.
Well, I do love the idea of only buying a game one time, and then if there's a better version of it, i.e. with a graphics boost on the better, newer hardware, I'm going to pay for it a second time. I'm all about that. In terms of what Sony's doing, it sounds similar, but then also not similar.
Expound.
Because there's no... Their language doesn't really state you're going to be getting the same game. If I buy it for one system, for PS4, can I have it on the PS5 with whatever up-resed, boosted graphics will be available on the PS5 version?
Right.
So
they're more or less saying slap a PS5 label on it. Up-res. Right. It's got to be the same game, but we want you to make two versions of it. That's what it seems like Sony is requesting.
It's basically just like unlocking the lock to be able to use it on the PS5.
Sure. So if I buy a PS4 version of, let's say, I don't know, let's say Last of Us Part 2, and there's a patch for better graphics or FPS or whatever on PS5, I'll just put this in disc in the PS5.
I don't know, because they didn't do that with The Last of Us.
Yeah. That's what I'm wondering, if that's what this language kind of states.
I don't think so. I think that this means any game that you are slapping a PS4 label on after July 14th must also have a PS5 label and a PS5 either maybe on the same disc, but certainly needs a PS5 version, which is weird. That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if I had no intentions of selling a game on PS5, but I have something coming out in January next year for PS4? Like, I have to make it work on PS5 now?
I guess you will.
Like, it's weird. Like, how do I know if the game's going to run on PS5? How do I know I could afford to develop on PS5? That's just weird. That's a weird way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a free dev kit. I'll make sure I get the PS5 game on that.
Yeah, right? I don't know. It's a strange...
It is, the wording seems weird to me. I don't get the stipulations and the, like, just...
I mean...
can you say it in a more clearer way what it means for, like, us, the consumer, at the end of the day?
I'll be completely honest. Smart delivery is over my head. Like, I think it's one thing. Everyone else tells me it's a bunch of other different things. I just tell me, make a graphic so I can know what it is.
Here's the graphic, and this is how I understand it. I have Xbox One.
Yes.
Or Xbox One X, doesn't matter. I go, I want game.
You bought Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
I click game.
Xbox One.
Game does not have logo of system. Game is just game. I click buy game. It's in my library. I buy Series X. I open game there because I buy game for library, not for system.
That is the best way to ever explain it.
Oog oog.
I buy game.
I buy game for library. Where I read library book, no care.
You watched Man recently.
All right. So Nintendo has some bullshit going on.
Or does it? We don't know.
Some bullshit.
We don't know.
We don't know. Andy, take it away.
Are the Swedes at it again?
Is this me? Is it my turn?
Oh, this is France.
I spoke a lot already.
Amazon France did some new listings of unannounced third-party Switch games and first-party Switch games. Nintendo Game 3, 4, and 5, I think it's called, or 1, 2, and 3. Sorry, 1, 2, and 3.
Oh boy!
So folks are wondering, what do these mean? Are these placeholders of some stuff? Now, typically,
that is exactly what they are.
This is typically around the E3 cycle season. This tends to happen on Amazon. They wait for announcements, and they have things in place for those announcements.
Could also say when I worked at GameStop, it was the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So that means we're getting Earthbound 3.
All the dreams. That's Nintendo Game 1, 2, and 3.
We're getting a new Star Fox, a new F-Zero.
Didn't a French retailer... Didn't French Amazon also put the Metroid Prime trilogy like 2 years ago?
They may have.
I think that was a thing that happened a long time ago.
Maybe that's where the Swedes got the picture from.
Right. Well, there is a picture of the Incineroar amiibo as the placeholder image for Nintendo Game 3.
I don't know, man, because Nintendo flat out said they have nothing to show. So where would they get this information from?
Right.
Was there an investor call recently that we don't know about? They're public, so I feel like we would.
Maybe it's for Breath of the Wild 2, Paper Mario, and some other crap. I don't know.
Well, Paper Mario already has a SKU.
Right, that's true.
Or their version of game. Maybe it is just like Amiibo.
Right.
or something smaller, and it's not a game. It's just like an accessory.
It just shows you how devoid of Nintendo news we are lately. This is what we're talking about.
This is very true.
Amazon France listings.
This is very true. Yeah, it's weird. It's like, I mean, if I was, maybe I know what it was. I bet you it is not even a person doing it. I bet it is somebody that's preparing for E3. Like an algorithm or something just preparing for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, this is the time of the year when new SKUs need to be added, guys. And you're like, sir. And you're like, I need those SKUs. And they're like,
actually, there's no direct this year.
Hold on. And they're like, oui. And they're like, oh. And they're like, listing, wah wah wah, and then they listed it, and that was it. That's how I imagine it went in the boardroom.
That is true, but like also there is a hyperlink in the article where it says that they also listed other things from different publishers,
right,
as well in the same fashion, like Warner Brothers, Square Enix, Ubisoft.
They Amazon listed Warner Brothers game that they were supposedly revealing 3 years ago at the Game Awards. They do that every year. Untitled WB Montreal game or whatever it is. Like they do that shit all the time.
Because you're saying we're gonna get Skyrim Labo Edition. That's what I'm hearing.
Oh God.
I'm saying right now. It seems pretty clear to me. That's what's going on.
I mean, that's one use for Amiibo, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I don't. Yikes.
I feel like they could do the same thing that Paper Mario did. They'll just drop it out of nowhere, and these 3 games will be real, and just be like, there it is. Maybe it's all those Mario like remaster things that were rumored to go around.
Right, but this couldn't be a direct. You could just held on to that Mario and done something like in June. Like, here's 5 games, guys, plus Outer Worlds is coming to Switch on June 5th. Some shit like that. I don't know.
Nintendo has been very weird lately, to say the least.
They're counting all the Animal Crossing money. They're too busy to do that to think about fucking.
I can't hear you over the sound of the money.
All this cash.
All of these bells. All right, now it is time for our final story of the Nintendo Dual Screens report. And
the what?
The Nintendo.
The what report?
The Dual Screens. I said Nintendo again. I got Nintendo on the brain. We just did Nintendo. The Dual Screens report. Okay, so we're all invited, you guys.
Hell yeah,
we are invited for a look at the future of gaming.
This is it.
PlayStation. What are they calling it? Are they calling it a state of play? I don't even know.
No, it's not a state of play.
It's not a state of play. We're looking at the future of PlayStation brand. PlayStation 5.
Mouth right up against the microphone now. You sound like ASMR in this segment.
What are we getting? Guys, what is this going to be all about? They said games. They said lots of games.
No.
What games?
Here's the sales pitch.
Okay, Andy, give us the info. Hit me with some silly shit.
We've done the TED Talk on the inner ear, and you've seen the controller, but now we're going to show you the games.
That's right.
This is the PS5, bitches.
God, I'm so excited. Also, I feel like this little video gave a tease of what the startup sound might be.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
So, some context here. This is going to go on June 4th. This is going to be, Thursday? Thursday, right? This coming Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
It will be over an hour long. This feels like this would have been their around E3 digital presentation.
Mm-hmm.
If it's at this length. And this sort of aligns with all these rumors of Sony wanting a polished, well-produced digital event, not a at-home guys on Skype calls with heads floating in their living rooms.
Mm-hmm.
They want to avoid that look altogether. And this sounds like it's a huge production for them.
I will say that my calendar updated on my iPhone for Summer Game Fest for this event, and it does say from 4 p.m. Eastern to 5:30 p.m. Eastern. So I think it's more than an hour. I don't know if that includes like the Jeff Keighley interviews and stuff,
right.
But
commercials.
Commercials. I am so excited to finally learn what I'm going to be playing on launch on PS5.
Before we go into our predictions and our hopes and dreams here for this event, a few choice quotes here. One from Jim Ryan. It's time to give fans something that can only be enjoy on PS5. And a quote from Bluepoint. It's time to leave our old gaming limitations behind.
Oh, Bluepoint, what are you doing?
So, let's get into this. Kyle, a Sony fan.
Yeah.
What do you want to see from this event? What's your expectation here?
I want to see everything. Honestly, first and foremost, I need to see Horizon Zero Dawn 2. That is my number one dream out of this Thursday event. It's been a while. I know they're working on it. I need to see Aloy again and see where that story is going to continue, because I truly believe that Aloy is the next PlayStation mascot in the future. So I want to see that. I want to see Ratchet and Clank come back. Because Insomniac's got two studios, obviously, or two teams, and I think one of them is working on Spider-Man, the other one's working on Ratchet and Clank. Bluepoint obviously is going to show up. What they're going to show, I have no idea. One day I think it's Metal Gear Solid remake. Another day I think it's Legends of Dragoon. The other day I think it's
please God,
Castlevania, or like I just feel the tweet a while back said they were doing something that they've never done before. So I don't know what that means. And then they did that one tweet where they hinted so many Easter eggs.
PS1 games.
Like,
it was like Symphony of the Night, Metal Gear, Legacy of Kain.
Part of me feels like it probably will be Demon Souls.
Yeah.
Which I'm not thrilled about. Souls games are not my type of games, but I understand that
that's the one that started it all.
I know that it's huge. I think for my trophy room partner, Joe, Mr. Badbit,
friend of the show. Yep.
Demon Souls is the remake, I think that puts closes the door on us seeing Bloodborne 2 at the event. Because I think it would be really, really cool to see Bloodborne 2 more than Demon Souls remake.
What if they showed Bloodborne in like 60 FPS boosted mode on PS5, and then you cut to a Bloodborne 2 teaser at the end?
Joe might die.
Wouldn't you die? Joe might die.
He might die. And then I'll put out a bulletin board for a new co-host for Trophy Room, because there's no getting him back.
Steven, what are some of your predictions?
He'd be laying on his back pitching a tent, if you know what I mean. So I think what we're going to get are one sequel, one returning IP, and one new IP from Sony Studios in some fashion. First-party offerings. I also think we're going to get a litany of those third-party games that we saw in that PlayStation UK magazine, that whole leak.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to see a bunch of those. I'm thinking the three games we're going to see, I'm not thinking, I'm hoping the three games we're going to see are either Horizon or Spider-Man 2. Either one of those two. I feel like Horizon's probably more right, but I feel like Spider-Man's basically done already. You just need to do cool story stuff, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that whole universe, like it's the city. Reuse it. You already saw it running on a PS5, right? It's there. So that Gran Turismo, what is it, 7? Whatever the hell we're up to.
7.
That'll be the returning IP that we haven't seen in a long time. At least I haven't heard of Gran Turismo being a thing in years. I think the offering for PS4 was less than stellar, if I remember correctly. People weren't very happy with it.
It sold very well, to be honest.
Yeah,
it found a good audience.
I don't follow that, but I just feel like that's gonna. I feel like you're launching.
It's no Forza, but still, it did really.
You're launching a PS5.
well.
You're gonna have a racing game. Like I just feel like that's a thing. And then a new IP. I'm wondering where that would come from. I have a feeling. Don't come at me with this, but I have a feeling it might be from Naughty Dog.
Oh, that's an interesting route.
They've had two studios for a long time. The last thing that the Uncharted studio made was Lost Legacy. They then said that they pulled all of those people to finish Last of Us Part 2, which is 100% possible. But they're a massive studio, so I feel like pulling everyone to do that was probably not likely. So I think we might be, and I don't think it's going to be a launch thing, but I think they're going to announce or a tease or something new IP for maybe 2022.
Don't forget Sony San Diego too. They have two teams.
So
but wasn't one of them
that's hanging around too that they've pulled together recently?
Right, but didn't they say that second studio was just a support studio for other studios? Wasn't that like their thing?
The rumor going around was they were making an Uncharted game.
Yeah.
That was the rumor going around, was that second studio. But I don't know the legitimacy of that.
I think, if anything, we may get a new IP from Japan Studios. There was this space game rumor that was like from 2015 they were working on. So that may pop up at some point. Or maybe we'll see Ape Escape come back to the fold. But I think in terms of third-party stuff, I think we'll definitely see Call of Duty because of the marketing deal with Sony that they have. I think we may see the new Star Wars game, that Maverick game that's been going around lately. Because if you look at the PSN's Plus's offerings for June, Call of Duty and Star Wars can't be a coincidence.
Now, Buzz brings up a good point. This was something that happened, I think, last week, and we did not cover it, but the Next Level Racing Instagram account, they make the gaming cockpits for racing games. They have a Gran Turismo 7 logo on their post, and saying that these are all games coming in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to happen. That's
nothing says new system as like a pretty looking racing game.
Right. Drive Club, baby.
Well, that's the thing. I had pulled up like what was shown off at the PS4 event in February 2013.
Interior seating.
They showed Knack. They showed Killzone Shadowfall, Drive Club, Infamous Second Son, The Witness. There was a tech demo from Quantic Dream, Dreams Deep Down, which never came out. Watch Dogs, Diablo 3, and Destiny was all shown off at that reveal event.
I think Watch Dogs
Legion for sure.
Legion is going to be a big showcase piece for PS5.
If they can't do Valhalla.
I also think this is the time we see Batman.
Yes, that could be a thing too.
Or whatever they're doing.
Whatever they're doing, but yeah, the hint at the bat.
Yeah,
for the last year it seems like, especially because like they had the whole different studios, but they had Arkham Knight was PS4 that was shown on the E3 stage for them on Sony. So I feel like the WB Batman partnership's pretty strong there.
If Naughty Dog does make a new IP, because of course I'm stuck on this. If they do make a new IP, where would you what kind of setting would you like? Because like for me, I want them to get back to being popcorny, fun, goofy. But I kind of want to leave Nate alone because like that was a great wrap up to that story. So I was actually brainstorming this the other day, and I was thinking I would love if they did a swashbuckling piratey game set in that time.
Do a Monkey Island game.
I think Mike said in chat what I want. I want a sci-fi game from Naughty Dog. I want to see them take their hands of something so outrageous and so not grounded in reality and make it weird. I think that would be really, really cool.
Put it in space.
Hell yeah. Oh, a space game for Naughty Dog? Yeah.
I want to see Wild. That game kind of like disappeared off the fucking radar.
Who was making
it? Look good. Was it an Ubisoft game? If I recall?
I just looked this up the other day too. It's very weird what happened to it.
Ubisoft makes a lot of games.
I don't think it's Ubisoft.
They make a million games. What do we think?
It's a Michelle Ancel game. Wild Sheep Studio.
There you go.
What do we think the PlayStation 5 pricing is going to be?
We're not going to see pricing. That's my opinion.
I think it's all going to be games.
I don't think they can price it yet. Do you think we're going to see the console?
I don't think they should. Yeah, I think we will see the console.
I don't think we'll see it.
I think we're going to see it.
I think the plan, the rumor is August we'll see a state of play focusing on the system itself and the console.
Hour of just games, like that sounds like you got to pack awesome. In a lot of games. That's not awesome. That's not awesome.
They could end with it.
They could end with it.
I would love if they ended what it looks like. Because
here's all the games, and guess what? Here's you can play it on. Here's PS5.
I just have the image of the dev kit that it looks like a pizza warmer, so I'm kind of hoping that's what it is.
Oh, I'm thinking that new supposed leak with the black PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. Did you see that leak?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how could that be real? Why would they show a white controller as like their official controller reveal and then give the black controller with the black console as the console? I don't know. That seems weird to me.
But to answer your question, I feel like PS5, whenever price is put out there, I think it's a $500 thing.
Yeah, because they were talking about value, which doesn't really mean how much it will be worth, like in terms of the pricing. It's about how many games can we offer at launch and services, and that'll determine the price tag of the PS5 in a sense. Not going for the cheapest is what Jim Ryan said sometime last week.
Yeah, 500 makes me a little nervous.
Mm-hmm.
It seems feasible though.
No, I get it. It seems like a high price to pay based on
what's in there.
Based on but not to a consumer, like to a normal consumer that's like, oh, the new PlayStation's out, and oh shit, $500. Fuck that noise. To us,
get a third job. Like you were supposed to in the PS3 days.
Right.
you were warned then what to do.
Be
prepared for this. Get more jobs.
Yeah, I mean, there was a UK listing for PS5 and Series X that had them at $449. It was converted to $449 US.
That's so weird.
Like that's just what the conversion was.
Yeah,
but that just seems like it's right in the middle, right? Like that just seems like it's a placeholder to be right in the middle between 4 and 5.
You look at traditional pricing, no one would charge for again that $450 or $350. It sounds off to me. That $50 chunk in there.
Yeah,
it sounds weird to me.
They're both Microsoft and PlayStation. They're just playing chicken at this point. The first person that says the price, the other one will undercut it.
Right.
And that's what I feel they're waiting for.
Mm-hmm. All right, gentlemen, who are our winners and losers of the week? Andy, I'll start with you.
I'm gonna say big winner Sony because it's all the headlines is this event, and it's all eyes on Sony, and they took a look at the Microsoft gameplay event and said we're just gonna show games that are running on PS5 hardware, and that's it. I think even they mentioned how if it was games running on PC, they don't want those at their event. They want games showing off their new hardware only. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's an hour of this. Big win. Huge win. Huge. And lose for Nintendo, because what are you doing? Amazon France? Well, come on. Give me something to work with here. Give me some actual news.
I am going with the same, too. I think Sony's the winner here for just taking headlines for a little bit. Really for the most part tempering expectations by telling us, no, these are going to be PS5 games running on PS5. Thank you for coming to our TED Talk. And yeah, Nintendo just they have to stop Nintendoing. Kyle, what do you think?
I also agree Sony is a huge win, but I'm going to go on the other side. I'm going to give this one to Microsoft. I think coming out and saying like, hey, thousands of games you can play, and even these new ones you can play on systems you already own in this ecosystem is awesome. So I'll give them my winner, and then I'll join on the Nintendo hate. Like France and Sweden are the big news for things that may or may not exist. Okay.
Man, Nintendo, you are certainly doing it. I don't know what it is, but you are doing it. All right. Is there a hype zone, Andy?
There is, but it's sad. It's like the crying zone.
Okay, let me take my.
There was a headline that went out. I think it was a couple of days ago that we didn't get Xenogears 2 because of how badly Final Fantasy Spirits Within movie did at the box office.
Oh, no.
Although so much money went to that fucking bullshit movie that we were deprived of Xenogears 2.
Oh man,
R.I.P.
That makes me cry.
R.I.P. Ladies and gentlemen.
We lost a great game to a shitty CG movie.
Jeez.
I wish I could erase it from my memory. I would love to get rid of it, just delete the file, but I can't. Now it's in there.
Control-Alt-Delete, my friend.
Can't. It's there.
Boy. All right, let's see if there's any mailbag questions. We have one from Catherine, from Kat.
Oh.
Kyle, how much do you miss Catherine? Steven,
I miss her so much.
you may also answer this question as well. Oh, sorry, you meant video game questions. I have nothing. Yes, I do, in fact, miss you, Catherine, greatly. It's been far too long.
Absolutely.
You know, if you want, I'll answer this for Kyle. Catherine, I don't miss you. And,
Wow,
that's all I gotta say about that.
You are just
Maybe if you reached out and got to know me a little bit, I would miss you.
That's right.
As it stands now, I don't.
Wow, them's fighting words.
I'm sorry, Catherine. We love you.
Now, Catherine, the video game series, yes, I do miss it. It's a great series. Is that what we're talking about, or a human being named Catherine? I'm unclear.
A little of both. All right, let's check the chat. Let's see if there's any questions here in the chat. Mikey Kirsch says WB Montreal has the worst marketing strategy of all time.
Agreed.
What else? Nobody agrees that they're going to announce a price. Mr. Enough says they end with a hardware reveal with no details. A lot of 500s thrown around in the chat. I did, in fact, time out Buzz Killington for saying he can't wait to see all those PC and Xbox Series X games essentially being claimed as PS5 games, which is why I timed them out. What else we got?
Oh, it's a good night.
Shout out to, Buzz Killington says a shout out to Clubhouse Games 51 coming out this week for Switch.
Oh, I forgot that was this week.
He redeemed his 500 points to tell us that he wants to give a shout out to Clubhouse Games 51 coming out this week for Nintendo Switch. And that's it. That brings us to the end of the show. We did it, you guys. We got through it. Nobody died, as far as we know.
Fortunately.
Bad bit. He might be down there pitching a tent. We don't know.
Might be.
We don't know.
Depends.
We put so much information, so much hype into his bloodstream right now. We either gave him or cured diabetes. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know, but we'll find out. He'll let us know. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to follow us on social media, we are at NDS Podcast. I am at Batchild27. Andy is at PadsGuy. And Kyle, you are at WhoDatNinja73. I did
Correct.
it. Where can everybody follow your shows?
Sure. If you like PlayStation, hit up at PS Trophy Room on Twitter. Weekly PlayStation podcast where we talk about the weekly news in PlayStation. If you are a kind of funny best friend and a member of that community, I do have a one-on-one podcast called Best Friends Talk Funny, where we just I get on with another best friend and just talk about why this community is awesome, get to know them better. Steven has been on an episode, so go check that one out.
That was fun.
Yeah, and if you're ever in New York after all this craziness, hit up kindofnyc.com. for all future meetups and stuff.
Made some of my closest friends with Kyle and that group. So
absolutely,
a good group of people. You're supporting a couple of good human beings by checking out Trophy Room. So yeah, and I don't say this kind of thing lightly because I know how many podcasts there are out there. I know how many PlayStation podcasts are out there. I know that. I know it. I know that we're all competing for your ears, and I know that there's so many options for you. And I would not tell you this if I did not believe it. The Trophy Room is a very good, fun podcast. It's run well.
Thank you, buddy.
I mean, you guys are passionate. I don't look at myself as a pundit per se. I look at myself as an opinionated character. Like I am a host. I want to entertain. That is how I look at it. Andy is more of a pundit because Andy kind of digs into news a little bit more than I do, and he formulates opinions more so on, various angles for the most part. The two of you guys are pundits, but you're also fans. You're very passionate fans. And you know what you're talking about. You don't go in there and bullshit. You have fun. So if you're looking for a new PlayStation podcast or just a chill PlayStation podcast where you're not being strung along by a big company that's running a podcast that happens to be about PlayStation. These are two dudes literally doing this out of their spare rooms. And it's a fun show, and you'd be supporting them.
Thank you, buddy. That means a lot.
Stuff. Yeah,
appreciate it.
Wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. And
we also found out today we're number 1 in Serbia in video game podcasts. So if you want to get on
Serbia,
calm down.
Hell yeah, the Serbians are here, man. Welcome to Duel Screens. Get all your video game news here. Anyway, if you want to join our Facebook group, it's facebook.com/groups/DS podcasts. If you want to watch our streams, we're on twitch.tv/dualscreenstreams, and our YouTube channel is youtube.com/dualscreens.tv. Thank you to Zazu Pitts of Sound Productions for our theme song. Thank you, Matt Murray, for our overlay and logo. Thank you, Andrew Douglas, for all of our cartoon caricature art. And thank you to all our Patreon supporters, especially Colton the Apprentice Nestler, for supporting us on patreon.com/NDS podcast. We cannot continue to grow without your support, so we do appreciate it. And if you support us at $1, you get into our VIP Discord channel where you chat with us and video game developer guests that are also in there. We all hang out. We have a great time together all day, just fucking yelling at each other. It's great. We have a blast. And you also get a bonus episode each and every month, and you get to vote the topic of that bonus episode. I throw random things up there that come to my mind, and you choose which one you want us to record. And this month's freebie or bonus, not a freebie, I always say that, for May was me having a one-on-one sit down with my almost 5-year-old son and interviewing him essentially. And it was awesome. It was a cute show. It was a lot of fun. He's mental. So please do enjoy that. And of course, if you do join, you get all of those backlogged bonus episodes. We have dozens of them up there. Thank you very much, Kyle, for joining us, man. It was great having you here.
That was great.
Andy, is there anything you want to tell the kids before we go?
Yeah, if you're a listener in the great state of Oregon, please email us, because we have a huge audience out there. And I know none of you. This is not fair. I must know you. Anyone in that state, please reach out to us.
True. All right. That's going to do for us. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, live viewers. Again, twitch.tv/dualscreenstreams. And thank you to all of our listeners all over. If you're watching this on YouTube, please think about giving a thumbs up, hitting the subscribe button, hitting the bell, and leaving a comment on what you thought about the episode. We love you very much. And as always, please be excellent to each other. Now, more than ever, please be excellent to each other.